Well, Lonzo Ball on his podcast just gave a status update in regards to when we could expect to see him on the floor for the Chicago Bulls. We're going to talk about it all and more, but first, we got to play that intro.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. And Lonzo Ball on his podcast, out his own mouth, stated that he will be back for either the last two preseason games or two out of the last three preseason games. We're going to go ahead and play the clip. I'm going to let you guys hear it from Lonzo directly, and we'll react to it after that.
So give us an update, plans for the week, what's going on, like anything, man. Like, what's up?
I'm sitting in the first two preseason games.
Okay.
Expecting to play the last two, maybe two of the last three, one of those.
Okay.
In there, but everything's going along. Feeling good, knees feeling good. Yeah, man, just looking forward to the future, really.
I saw an interview where you said you felt the best that you have in a long time out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting better, each day, honestly. Just being out there, getting comfortable again on the court, moving around, trusting the movements, all the work that I put in, and just seeing it come to light.
So give us an update.
All right. So that's out of Lonzo's own mouth. Lonzo Ball said that the plan is for him to play either the last two preseason games or two out of the last three preseason games. So Lonzo's been pretty direct as far as what he says on his podcast in regards to his injury and the recovery there. So, we'll see what it comes down to. Wootage as a great question here. How many minutes will he play in those games is the question, right? I mean, everybody knows he's going to be on a minutes restriction, and I would probably suspect that probably is going to be two out of the last three rather than the last two, because the Bulls are probably going to want that time in between to see how his body reacts to how he getting back out there on the court. So that's really good. Are we really surprised? What up, my nigga? Give me the weather because I got the same one. What? Anthony Vargas says, yes, sir. I mean, this is a promising for Lonzo, right? That's the thing. What it all comes down with Lonzo is that you want to see how he's going to react. And, we'll make and talk about how effective, how he looked, all that stuff when it comes down to it. But Lonzo Ball seeming pretty, certain that he'll be making that return is good. That's what we like to see. Sag, him and Io off the bench together. Listen. Io and Lonzo off the bench together, and not even necessarily just Io. Imagine Lonzo Ball in a transition situation with Io, Julian Phillips, Jalen Smith, and Modest Bucilis, right? Hey, listen, watch your heads because somebody's about to yam it on you when it's the case, right? What's the word, my brother? You look like a Teddy. That's hilarious. That's funny. That's hilarious. But overall, good update. I really appreciate the update. I meant to say sweater, but I was typing too fast. I'm looking at something. Oh, you ordered this is new. You ordered this one too? Yeah, as soon as I saw it, I had to order it because this I like the black and gray. I really loved when the Bulls had the gray jerseys, and every year that the City Edition jerseys get announced, I hope that they have a gray and red jersey again. I really loved the gray and red jerseys. I just did. Like, I don't think everybody was as big on those jerseys as I was, but I love the gray and red. I love gray and red together. It's just such a good look. Plus, it gave me an excuse to wear this hat. I had this hat for a while. I only have like one other shirt that matches it, so I'm excited to see this. Listen, the whole basketball world is going to be excited to see what he's going to look like, right? What Lonzo actually looks like when he gets back on the floor is something I think a lot of people are excited about. P. Will is our starting power forward. LOL, it's all messed up. No, P. Will, I mean, he's been our starting power forward. P. Will just needs to play more aggressively, right? But yeah, it is what it is when it comes down to it. But, overall right now with, let's hope that Lonzo makes his return. Sad we never got to see Pat and Zoe on the floor together. Really, maybe we move Pat to the bench. Well, keep in mind, like, this ain't hockey. So it's not like you're making where all your starters only play with starters, all your bench players only play with bench players. I'm sure Zoe and Pat will have some minutes out there. But yeah, that was something that season that I was always kind of wondering, like how Patrick Williams would have looked like with Lonzo Ball out on that court, right? Now, this is a very different Lonzo, very different Pat as well. So, we'll see what happens there. But yeah. But overall, good to hear that Lonzo Ball feels confident he's going to be able to play in 2 out of the last 3 Bulls preseason games, man. Nobody bleeds Chicago like me. I don't care if the Bulls, Bears, Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, all this shit. Listen, one thing, I support every Chicago team except the Cubs. I can't do it. I can't do it. If the White Sox ever were to leave Chicago, that first 18 months would be tough for me because I'm going to be sitting there with my Cubs gear on like, why the fuck do I got this blue and red shit on? This is really what we doing? This is what we doing? But I'd eventually acclimate. It is what it is. Probably a different Lonzo, same old Pat, though. That's actually, listen, I'll tell you what it is. I honestly think Patrick Williams was more. If you go back to the start of that season, keep in mind, Patrick Williams got hurt going after a putback. I really think that injury may have been like Pat was starting to get a lot more aggressive that year before he went down with injury. And he's never been the same since then. Maybe I'm just waxing poetic about that. Maybe I'm making it more than what it was in my head. So, yeah, listen. Tell you what, though, Patrick Williams can't go if he goes through a whole season being passive P again, I don't know if he's going to, he can't make it through 20 games being the starter if he's still going to be passive P. Patrick Williams is going to have to become a man at some point, bro. He's going to have to. He's going to have to. I almost definitely a Cubs fan, north side. Okay, that makes sense. Do you think the Bulls will have to decide between Kobe and Io once they're No, I don't. I don't think so because, listen, it's something to said about having a high reserve coming off the bench, and Io is that guy. So, I don't think that necessarily is between Io and Kobe. Now, let's say they both have the next 2 years, they both have tremendous seasons where they're both qualifying for the max. But even then, I'll say this. If Zach's gone off the roster, Vooch will be gone. Lonzo may be gone by then. Even if Lonzo comes back, he's not going to be making what he's making now. I can see a world in which Josh Giddey, Io, and Kobe are all on contract extensions for the Bulls. Now, it would say a lot that you got 3 guards out there, all your highest paid players, but we'll see. Keep in mind, the Bulls saved money on Patrick Williams' contract extension. That's going to basically be a mid-level exception in the next couple of years. It's worth 10% of the cap. It's not a lot of money, right? It's more money than he should have got paid, but it's not a lot of money. Julian's not up for a contract extension yet. Dalen's not up for a contract extension yet. Even when they are, they're not going to qualify for anything near the max unless their performance over the next few years is astronomical. Jalen Smith's on a decent contract. So listen, the Bulls may not be in a dire need once they come up. So we'll see. Then also the Bulls officially announced Derrick Rose night, even though I thought that they already did that. Like we knew it was going to be January 4th, but I'm glad that they posted it on their social media. So that's good there. 90 mil, he better. That's funny. I feel you on that one. Shay says, I know this may sound stupid, but I would see how Josh does this season before I think about it. Oh, I don't think the Bulls. I mean, I know that I heard that AK at Media Day said that they expect to be sitting down with Josh and his people at some point during the offseason, but I don't think they're going to get a deal worked out beforehand. I don't believe that. Now, I could very well be wrong on that, right? But I don't think that if you look at how the Bulls have handled every restrictive, this front office has handled every restricted free agency the same, every really free agency the same way, right? Vooch, they extended Vooch the day before free agency opened, and they got him in on a decent contract. Kobe, Io, they waited until the day before that they officially could have went on the market. They extended both of them when they were free agents. Patrick Williams, same thing, right? So I don't necessarily think that is going to be the case. But Tim's getting waived. I could see it. Listen, THT got off the bench and played more minutes than him. Ernolop's going to have to show a lot in this preseason to hold on to his contract spot. Yo, Haize, what up, G? Ain't caught you live in a minute. Well, Jay Harrington, you caught me live now, brother. And we're live after every game, so make sure you stay in tune with us for that. Bench Zach, start Modest. Nah. Listen, Modest is great. Don't get me wrong. I love Modest Bucilis, but he's not ready to be in place of Zach LaVine right now. I don't think so. I wonder if we get any Lofton minutes on Saturday or EJ Liddell minutes. Like, you got to see some of them at some point, right? Zach's not getting benched. That's counterintuitive. Like, Zach's not getting benched. So, it is what it is when it comes down to that. What are the odds we going to get something for Vooch and Zach? I don't know, bro. I really don't know. I do think Vooch is probably going to be moved before the trade deadline. I have a feeling for that. I think when you see as many teams that need centers right now, and that they're going to try to go through the start of the season to see if they can weather the storm, but I could easily see. Now, there are other centers that are going to be involved. Reportedly, the Brooklyn Nets aren't against moving Nick Claxton. The Portland Trail Blazers can move DeAndre Ayton or Time Lord, right? So there's other centers that could be moved as well. Bulls wanted to trade Zach and Vooch and go young, play fast, and keep their pick. They should just act like they did. Start Ayo and bring Zach and Vooch off the bench. Better balance. That's funny. Hey, I wasn't agreeing at first with THT thing, but how you explained it with him being in the league 5 years and him not standing out makes sense. That's what it comes down to, right? Like, he was in there against G League players. He should be able to play solid defense, and he still didn't even stand out, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, and maybe that's a criticism that maybe I'm unfair to have, right? But to me, you're in the league 5. You've played 20 minutes plus per game in this league. You should not be against the Cleveland Cavaliers third stringers and barely standing out. That's not good. That's not good, right? You can tell Vooch don't want to be here. His body language was horrible in that game. Vooch's body language has been horrible since media day. Don't you think Sanogo should play? Absolutely. Absolutely, Sanogo should play more. Give Adama at least 5 minutes on the court before you take him out next game. Yeah, him and Arnold. Josh going off first game versus OKC. I mean, I don't know about that because they could put Alex Caruso on him, and Alex Caruso could shut his ass down. I love P. Willie so much, but he need to show me more than what he did that first preseason game. Yeah, but keep in mind as well, he is coming back from injury. He was out for a couple of months. So there's that ramp-up period. That's that rhythm period a little bit. So we'll see how that comes along for him as well. THC is a perfect example of why LeBron makes even the average-looking players look good and damages good players when they are playing with him. That's crazy. That's crazy. But I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. We can't say anything because THC could have just had a bad game. No, you can because, you could have had a bad game. But listen, if you go and play against 5-year-olds, you could have had a bad game. You could have tripped and fell, but you should absolutely kick their ass. So, no, you don't get credit for doing less than you should have done. No, they starting Ayo versus OKC. No, they not. They not. I don't know what's going on outside. The white people next door tripping. Tripping. But yeah, man. So just to give a quick update for those that are just turning in, Lonzo Ball on this podcast said that the plan is for him to play 2 of the last preseason games, maybe even the last 2 preseason games. So we'll see how that comes along for him. Good to get Lonzo Ball back on the court. That Bulls drip. Come on now, y'all know I do this. Like ain't nobody doing it like me, man. That's all I can say. It just is what it is. Okay, wow. You THT does it for you, huh? That does it for you. All right. Well, hey, I ain't one to judge. I mean, listen, you got to do what you got to do, brother. But all right, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to turn on out. If anything else happens, if we get more details from practice, I will probably still do my normal post-practice live. So we'll see what happens with that one. Leroy Javon Carter is so useless to this team. Listen, like I said before, this is the thing that I'm looking at from Leroy Carter. I just want him to be the best ball boy that the Bulls he should have the players water bottles ready to go when they come off the court. He should have them fresh towels at all points in time. Everything if they need a prostitute on the sideline after the game, he should go out and cultivate that. Javon Carter needs to be the best bench player in the history of the game. Everything this is what he needs to do. That's what he needs to do because that's all he really can offer this team. It's all he can really offer us. So THC wasn't impressive at all. He looked like a G League player on that court. Facts. That's what I've been saying. Shout out to Zoe. It's good to see my guy back in on the hardwood. Question is the playing time. Major restrictions throughout the first half of the season. Major restrictions throughout most of the season, Baylor. Facts. I just realized who that is. Shout out to my boy Baylor in the building. Tell Baylor that we need the Breaks Radio back. Tell Baylor that we need the Breaks. The culture needs the Breaks Radio. Y'all put in the chat the Breaks Radio. Tell Baylor we need the Breaks Radio back. Tell them to make it happen. I can't do it without him. I can't do the Breaks Radio without Baylor. It's like Stockton and Malone not being on the court together. It was weird seeing him in LA. I need Baylor to do it. So that's what it is. I need Baylor out there with me. I need Javon Carter to average 20 plus high fives per game. Facts. Triple double in high fives. That's what we need from Javon Carter. That's what we need from him. Dalen coming for somebody's spot. Definitely could be. So we'll see how that goes along. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullCentralPod@gmail.com. Lastly, but basketball will be back first. That's hilarious. But lastly, if you guys want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242. No, that's Bear. 773-270-2799 with the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related.